my legacy was the most important thing. And then I had a realization at one point. I was like, I don't care about what people I don't know think about me. The only thing I care is the people I love and people who love me. That's what really matters for me. And when that thought process came into my mind, I was like, man, I'm done with it, and I made peace with it, and I don't regret that. Days like today, like makes me remember that I don't miss it at all, and I made peace, and I really enjoy being here as a commentator, you know, to analyze the fight. But to compete, I always had a very hard time to deal with the stress, you know, and I never really liked to fight. I did it to propel myself to where I wanted to be in life, to have the freedom, and when I say freedom, to not only money freedom, but like the freedom of being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. And that's why I'm here, because I choose to be here, and I like the format of the event. It's a good entertainment, and I'm glad to be here.
George, you and Anderson have been connected a long time, right? We just got done with that face-off. A lot of people always dreamed of a face-off between you two. Maybe that's a little different than we expected, but what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, I saw him backstage. I told him boa sorte, you know, like good luck in Portuguese, and I wish him the best. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's 47 years old. He's incredible. He told me that he's got an addiction. He can't stop, and I wish him the best of luck. You know, I just hope his journey will not end in a nightmare. You know, like I hope he's gonna finish on top, and I hope he's gonna have the wisdom to retire on top. You know, with a healthy mind and a healthy body. You know?
What's the relationship like between you two?
Oh, I really respect. It's all about respect. You know, like when we used to compete, it was very competitive. We used to compete in different weight class because it's even if we never really competed against each other, we wanted to compete to be known as the best, you know, like of our time, you know, and that's what the competition was about, you know what I mean? But it's now there's something stronger than sport and competition. It's the human side, and when I saw him today, I was just glad to see him, you know, and wish him the best of luck.
George, you talked about the exponential improvement of Jake Paul, time in and time out.
Yes.
What have you made of the Jake Paul involvement in boxing and what he means to the sport?
Well, I've met Jake Paul many times. I used to train with in Jiu-Jitsu with John Danaher and the squad in Puerto Rico, and he was there. And I know a lot of guys that train with him, like coaches and training partners, sparring partner, and they all told me that he trains really hard. He made all the sacrifice that a champion needed to make to become champion. You know what I mean? It's this whole thing started out as a joke a little bit, and now it's serious. Now it's really serious, and a lot of people, you know, love me, hate me, but don't ignore me. But one thing that you have to respect about Jake Paul is that he step up every single time. That's why he's bringing an incredible, like, huge audience, because he's living the American dream. Every time he step up his game, he's taking a huge risk every time. He started out to fight a professional athlete, Robinson, knock him out. Then he fought Askren, UFC fighter, knock him out. Then Tyron Woodley, who's a UFC fighter, knock him out. Then now he's fighting Anderson Silva, who's a UFC fighter, probably arguably the greatest of all time. So he has the audacity and the courage to step up every time, and he's improving at such an exponential rate that it's hard to predict how good he's gonna look tomorrow. It's incredible.
Hey George, I know you're training Freddie Roach, I know you're a boxing guy. Who's some of the fighters that you like nowadays? Were you a little upset that Crawford Spence couldn't get made?
In boxing?
Yes.
My favorite boxer of the modern era is
Describe him. You can help me out.
Right, I have my memory. It's fought Kovalev.
Canelo?
Andre Ward.
Sorry, Andre Ward.
Andre Ward.
My God, I like.
Why do you like Andre Ward so much?
Yeah, Andre Ward is my favorite. He's a and my favorite of all time is Sugar Ray Leonard, but of modern days is Andre Ward, because he's what made him so special. It's not that he was the strongest. He was very fast, but he had the most powerful punch. His fighting IQ was just the best I ever seen. He was so smart, and for me, he's also a model of how an athlete should be. You know what I mean? That's why he's my favorite boxer of modern era. You know, Andre Ward is the best. People forget how good he was, and I'm sure if he wanted to, he could come back and maybe like try to be up there with the champion. You know what I mean? But he's skill wise and his IQ is just incredible.
People want him to Canelo to face each other.
He could, but I think he's one of the guys that made peace with it, and I wish that whatever decision he takes, he does the best for himself. But I think I can only speak for myself. It's very hard sometimes to let it go, but you know what I mean. He made what he needed. He did what he needed to do in the game, and for me, he retired as the best. You know, he's better than Canelo.
George, what was
He
your
doesn't have to
favorite?
come back to prove it. You know?
What's your
George,
favorite Andre Ward moment? What's your favorite?
When he
fight?
beat Kovalev, it's just incredible. We forgot how good was Kovalev. Kovalev used to be like Ivan Drago in Rocky. He used to knock out everybody. And I believe that Andre Ward, when he knocked out Kovalev never came back the same. He was good, but never came back the same. So that's how good is Andre Ward. He left such a scar into his opponent that because he's so good, a lot of his opponents after he fought them lose confidence because they feel like, man, this guy is just another level. You know what I mean? So,
George.
What's your favorite Anderson Silva moment?
one of my favorite Anderson Silva moment is that there's a lot of Anderson Silva moments. The recent one when he beats Chavez was just incredible because he finished his career in mixed martial art on a few losses, and it was very sad for me to watch, you know. But then when he came back and beat Chavez, nobody expected it. You know, it was just incredible to beat Chavez at his own sport. It was just incredible. That's probably for me one of the best highlight of Anderson Silva's career. Like, of course, in MMA, he was like fighting like he was in the Matrix. His highlights are incredible. You know, some of the best of all time. But recently, the thing that he achieved that impressed me the most was against Chavez. The way he played with Chavez is incredible. You know, at his age, it's not even in his own sport. It's just incredible.
George.
Part of you that like feels, oh my God, I should have faced him when we both were in the prime.
We could have done it. The thing is, the UFC. You know, I at the time I was doing a tear in my division. I was like fighting guys nonstop coming at me, and I was saying to the UFC, if I fight Anderson, we'll be in a catch weight and we'll implement the testing. You know, at the time the UFC didn't want to do it. They were. I put up my rules. The way it works, you have when you negotiate a fight, the two opponents put up their what they want the UFC to do, and the promotion needs to deal with it. But UFC never want to do a special contract for me as well. So I was fighting on my existing contract while I was going to take all the risk to deflect from my weight class. So they don't want to do it. So a big part of it was because of UFC. You know.
Last question. So like Anderson's 47 years old. You know, when you guys were in the same sport, do you ever think like, oh my God, just to see him fighting still high level, you know, at 47 years old?
It's incredible. Like, I don't know nobody that like I couldn't fight like this. It's just he's moving like the Matrix. You know, he's a very special talent. You know what I mean? He's arguably the greatest fighter of all time. You know what I mean? In mixed martial art. You know, now we're fighting in boxing. This is a very specialized form of fighting. I mean, of course, you all know that if it would be in a mixed martial art fight, it would take 30 seconds, perhaps a minute for Anderson to win. But he's willing to get outside of his comfort zone, which even if he's an incredible boxer, but he's taking a risk to fight Jake Paul. It takes a lot of courage, you know, on both sides, by the way, you know.
George, just two questions, please. First of all, is that true that next year you're going to be out of UFC contract for real, even though you're fighting?
I'm already out of UFC contract. I'm out. I couldn't be here today if I was in UFC contract.
So is
It might piss off the UFC that I'm here, but I did it because, like I said, I have the freedom now to do whatever I want with whoever I want,
even
whenever I
fighting
want.
boxing?
Huh?
Even fighting boxing if you want.
If I wanted to, but I like I said, you never say never. If it's for a good cause, it's well organized, you know. who knows? You know, I could do boxing or grappling. You know, who knows? You know, but my days of trying to prove I'm the strongest man in the world, it's gone. I have other priority in life, and I'm still training. I'm still get it. When I go with the guys, I spar with the guys, I still get it. But my heart is not there anymore.
Last question, George. Eu sei que você fala pouco de português.
Por favor.
Eu falar
Se puder
pouco.
mandar recado para os fãs brasileiros, por favor, o que esperar dessa luta?
Muito obrigado todos lutadores de la Academia Gracie Barra por me ajudar.
George, I want to
My
ask
Portuguese
you,
is terrible.
It's better than
George,
mine.
It used to be better back before, but I
George,
lost it.
George,
George-
we want to ask you, yesterday at the press conference, Jake Paul mentioned to Anderson Silva that he wanted to start some sort of a union for the MMA fighters,
Yeah.
and your name came up
Yeah.
as somebody that they wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Tell us how you feel about that.
Well, it's not a question of if it should happen, a union. It's a question of when it will happen. It will happen because it happened in boxing, it happened in basketball, in hockey, in all professional sport. And mixed martial art, unfortunately, it's a young sport. It's still a new sport. I mean, not new as it was like 20 years ago, but it's still relatively young. Sooner or later, it will happen. And a lot of people have tried to done it before. It fell, but sooner or later it will happen because you know the condition of the fighter, they can be improved by a lot. You know, the salary, all the assurance after their career. A lot of guys they have a lot of issues that are you know, like linked to brain damage and stuff like that. So I feel for a lot of these guys. You know, like you only hear about the guys that make it, like the Conor McGregor, Khabib, George St. Pierre, like. Who made a lot of money, and we left the sport healthy and good. But the truth is that most of the guys, 99.9% of the guys, like it's an horror movie. It's a bad ending to their career end and in a bad way. And I feel for these guys. And sooner or later there will be a new union. They will create certain kind of program to help a lot of the fighters.
George, your
What's
former
thoughts on
division.
John Jones stepping up in heavyweight, maybe fighting Stipe and then Francis. Just
Well, I've seen it in the red carpet when I got inducted to Hall of Fame. I took a picture and I put my arm around him. I was like, man, he's solid like a rock.
You talking about Jones?
Huge. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. John Jones, solid like a rock. You look huge. And look like he put the weight at the right place. You know, like I can't wait. I'm a fan of John Jones. I like to see him fight. I can't wait to see him come back. You know, a lot of people is like, yeah, he was out for a long time. Sorry, he was out for a long time, but he's John Jones. You know what I mean? Don't forget that he's John Jones. You know, he's like arguably the best fighter of all time too. You know, like he can make a comeback, and I think he's gonna be successful
what
when he
does
does.
it take to move up in like weight? You've done it. Like you've had a
Yeah,
great
I've done
move
it the
up.
wrong way though. I've tried to put on weight. I prepared myself a long time. I tried to eat and put on weight, but with the stress, it creates problems. And if I would have to done it again, if I could come back and tell a younger George before he tried to put on weight, I would have tell him to just stay the way you're at your natural weight, because you're not gonna have any health issues and you will perform even probably better. You know, but certain guys have, you know, the different abilities. You know what I mean? I have a hard time putting on weight. You know, that's the way my body is. You know, some guys they can put on weight easier. You know, depend if you're an endomorph, mesomorph, ectomorph. You know, a lot of guys have different tools. You know, like different ways of doing it, and it's easier for them. You know?
George,
George, what are your thoughts?
Khabib recently.
We've seen your contemporaries in MMA be brutally KO'd, kind of in sequence by Jake Paul. What are some of the thoughts that are going through a legend like your mind when you're watching him kind of walk down the who's who of MMA?
Well, it's sad when I see a guy that you know end up his career in a humiliating way. Like I mean it's good for the fans because it's a crazy good highlight. I like tomorrow. To tell you the truth, I like both guys. I just wish there will be a winner and a loser, but I just wish that the fight happen in a way that both of these guys can showcase their skills and look good. Even if they lose, it could be a very entertaining fight, and both of them will be able to showcase their skill, and that's the only thing. And I hope nobody will get badly hurt.
George,
With that-
Khabib recently retired as well. He seems to be a guy who's at peace with retirement.
Yeah.
Where does Khabib kind of rank for you in UFC all time?
One of the greatest of all time too. I mean, for me, the greatest of all time is not born yet, because fighters has performance that keep getting better. The best fighter of all time is not even born the GOAT. But if I have to choose, for me, is Royce Gracie, because I don't think